So, as of recently, I've been putting a lot more focus on my mental health and my mental clarity. Just putting my mental health first and putting it above everything else as of recently, especially within the last few weeks, just because of certain situations and things that have been going on in my life. And what I've realized and come to the conclusion of is how important it is to declutter the space in your mind, meaning that it's very important for you to get rid of things in your mind that are taking up space, right? Getting rid of things that are not necessary, things that you might be holding on to, things that could possibly be holding you back from, you could say, truly experiencing life, experiencing just basic, regular life the way it was intended to be, which is fully immersed, fully within that present moment. And being able to ground yourself by doing that, being able to actually plant your consciousness in the seat of the present moment. And I know for, maybe the common person or most people, is not as simple as it seems, being able to do that, being able to actually just be in the present moment at all, because we're always in our heads. We're always living within a certain world, and it might not be that present world. It might not be this physical world, that we're always living in. A lot of the times we're going through so many thoughts in our heads that we're constantly over analyzing or analyzing things going on upstairs, right, in our minds, and not fully understanding that we need to be here right now, that we need to be on earth in the present moment, and being fully immersed in what is actually going on in front of you. And I think the best way to think about doing this is using the example of your house or your room, right? When you have a dirty room or a dirty house, you're not comfortable. You don't like what you see. You don't like what's going on, because you might feel icky, or you might feel like things are not sitting right with you, because there's things that are there that you don't want to be there. There's things that shouldn't be there. There's things that are disrupting the flow, right? Disrupting the way that you move, particularly how you navigate life. But the moment that you take the time to clean your environment is when you feel much better. When you take the time to clean up your room is when you feel much better, because you did the right thing by cleaning up. You did what you were supposed to by actually getting rid of the trash that was around you, that was in your environment, because it's not supposed to be there, because that trash is what is possibly disrupting your flow state, what is disrupting your movements, the way that you're feeling, the way that you're acting, because it can also affect so many other areas of your life that you're not realizing it's disrupting or it's ruining. So when you actually take the time to clean up, get rid of things that are not supposed to be there, when you take the time to deep clean, when you take the time to understand why things are not supposed to be there, and when you take the time to let go and cut ties of things that are not supposed to be there, things that are not beneficial for you, that's when you are able to feel a lot better about yourself, because you did the necessary work. You put in the necessary work. You did what was right for you. And getting rid of things that you don't need to be holding on to is something that I've been trying to practice, what I've been trying to put into practice over the last few weeks, and it's actually helped me. It's made me feel a lot better about myself. It's made me feel like, maybe I'm not what I thought I was, calling myself useless or lazy in certain times, certain situations, for not doing certain things. But that was just me being hard on myself, because we all hold ourselves to such a high standard, right? Because we want the best out of ourselves, because you might expect yourself to be a certain way, and maybe those expectations that you're setting for yourself are unlikely to be reached. Maybe those expectations that you're setting for yourself are too high. And I feel like I shouldn't have to talk about expectations, because I've talked about it a few times, but I guess it's a reoccurring thing that is beginning to show up for me, and it comes up every time I speak. But expectations are not something that should even be set for yourself, because the thing about expectations is you are intentionally expecting something to happen, or you are intentionally expecting an outcome. And when the outcome does not flourish, when the outcome does not manifest, then you are setting yourself up for failure, because you had this expectation of a thing being a certain way, and then when it doesn't go a certain way, you let yourself down. Because you thought it was going to be this way, and then when it's not this way, you feel bad about the situation. You don't like what the outcome was, the results were, and so you subconsciously make yourself feel bad because you didn't do what you thought you were supposed to do. You didn't do what you thought you were gonna do. And so that's why you need to let things be the way they are. And I talked about this in the previous video, pretty much just saying that not to have expectations, of course, but also letting things be natural. And I've talked about that too, is letting things be the way that they need to be. Because as much as you want to be the one that's controlling the situation, and as much as you think that you are the one that's controlling the situation, 9 times out of 10, it's not like that. And I'm not the type of person to believe in coincidences. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is supposed to be the way it's supposed to be. It was supposed to be that way. It was already meant to be that way. It was gonna be that way regardless, as much as you think that you are the one changing the outcomes to certain things. It was always gonna be that way, because that was the way that it was naturally intended to be. And this ties back into being able to, clean things up in your mind and not have to worry about what you have in this space, what you have in that part of your mind, and what's going on over there, but what are you not taking care of over here that you think you need to be taking care of. No, what you need to be doing is making sure that you are the one that's okay at the end of the day, doing everything that you can in your power to make sure that you're the one that's okay at the end of it all. Making sure that you, and I heard this the other day, but making sure that you're waking up every day with a purpose. Making sure that everything you do is with a purpose, because the truth is you never know when it's your last day. You never know, and tomorrow is never guaranteed. So you have to live every day with a purpose. You have to wake up with that purpose. And I know it's harder said than done. And for a lot of people, they might not have that. And it's okay. It's okay. But just making sure that you're okay at the end of the day. You might not feel like you have a purpose. And that's okay. You might not feel like you were sent here to do something. And that's okay. As long as you make it and find a way to make it okay for yourself at the end of the day, making sure that you don't necessarily have to be happy or sad. You don't necessarily have to be content with everything, but if you're okay and if you are satisfied with the way things are, then you are okay. But if you're not satisfied, then that's your consciousness telling you need to be doing something. Whatever it is, you need to be doing whatever it is you can to fix that, for you to gain that satisfaction, for you to gain that sense of clarity, that sense of calmness, that sense of being okay with yourself. Being able to clear things up in your head might be a way for you. Being able to start with that first might be the first step to take in order for you to get to where you want to be. But I think that's one of the most important things, is being able to get rid of all this negative energy, all this negative space, all these things that might be taking up space in your head. Is getting rid of those things, right? And not always stacking yourself up with all these things that you feel like you need to do, right? Get your priorities straight, get them in a row, knock down the things that you need to do, of course, because you have responsibilities. But making sure that your mental health is there and that it's at a base level, right, that you can be okay with. And if you start there, you might be able to jumpstart yourself, right, and get to where you actually want to be. But making that a priority, making your mental health a priority, is the most important thing. And I just want you to remember that. Everything I just said is simple, not easy. Love y'all, man. Peace, y'all.